All right, we got a new update, new implant, kinetic burst. That looks interesting. Looks like a passive damage increase there. Multi-frequency crystal. We'll read up on that. Oh, what's this? Chameleon, Fiend, Adrestian, Celios. Get a +1 mid slot. Oh my goodness. This is better than you guys think. Let's get into it. Hello pilots, and welcome back to another Gromire Games Eve Echoes video. No PvP today, but we are going to be talking about PvP because we just got a +1 mid slot to my favorite ship. The developers have been doing this with a lot of the battleships lately, taking away the special mode and turning it into a module. And that is the exact same thing that they're doing here with the faction heavy cruisers, the Fiend, the Adreste, the Celios, and the Chameleon. You'll see here I already have the new defense module equipped to my Fiend. This is going to give us a shield resistance and an armor resistance bonus when active. It's about 25%, but definitely nothing to sneeze at. It's also going to reduce our signature radius by -20%. It's going to decrease our size by 20%, so it'll be harder to lock onto us and harder to hit. Now, the downside of using this module is going to be a flight velocity decrease by 25% and a decrease in damage by 25% also. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the old defense mode for the Fiend actually reduced your damage and speed by 50%, not 25%. So this might be a huge buff to the defensive ability of the Fiend. So we'll undock and we'll see what this new module does to our hard stats for when we fight. Alright, so we are undocked here in Jita. This is my standard Fiend solo hunting fit. This is high DPS, high speed. And we're going to take a look and see what our numbers are before we activate the module. You can see with my gold nanocore, I've actually changed the second tier there to a medium afterburner speed increase. That's because I wanted to test the maximum speed once we have the module on. So we'll turn on our afterburner. This is a medium afterburner. And you can see our speed there shoots up to about 3600 ms. Very fast, very hard to hit ship, great with an afterburner. So we'll turn on this defensive module here and we'll see how it adjusts our speed. You can see we're only taken down to 2700. That is still huge for when you're trying to kite a battleship. They're still going to have a really hard time hitting you, and we get this extra defensive boost just in case we're fighting something like missile ships that always have a chance to hit you. Not only that, but our signature radius is going to drop down to 67. So it's going to take these ships longer to lock onto you, and it's going to be almost impossible for someone to scan you without you getting that little pop-up window that shows that you've been scanned. So you'll get a heads up if you're ratting with this module active that somebody's trying to lock you down. This is great for ratting in low sec as well. And you can see with even with the module active, my DPS is still over 1100 passive cold. So amazing bonuses here. Still very much within the range of soloing a battleship, but we get this extra 25% boost to our shield. And don't forget, we also get armor resistance boost as well. Even though we're not an armor tank, we will get those armor resistance boosts on our ship as we're fighting. So it could help you live just a little bit longer. And as you can see, with just one adaptive shield active, we have over 50 in EM, 62 in thermal, 71 in kinetic, and 79 in explosive. So really solid defensive numbers there. Let's go ahead and activate these heat sinks and see what our active DPS here. This is 1652 DPS with both heat sinks active. This doesn't count my laser damage, the focus crystal implant buff. Having that charged up is going to put us well over 2000 DPS, and we're not going to lose any of these resistances that the defensive module is going to add on to us. So definitely something I might consider using going forward, is just having this module on all the time. I don't take that much of a DPS hit, and I don't take that much of a speed hit, but it's going to make me that much more tanky for when I'm fighting in 1v1 situations, especially if I'm going to be fighting cruisers. But this change and adding this module and this mid slot is not the best part of them doing this, of taking away the ability. The best part is what I'm about to show you now after we dock up. It's the flexibility that we're going to have now to use these faction heavy cruisers. Okay, so before I start playing with my mid slots, I do want to show you my rigs for this setup. In order to get these stats that you're seeing, I do have 2 level 3 burst aerator and 1 level 4 collision on the DPS side, and on the engineering side I have 2 auxiliary thruster 3s and 1 polycarbon. So that's kind of give you an idea of how I reached those numbers in the first place. So real quick, what I want to do is I actually want to see what our defensive capabilities are with this new module active. If we can take out these DPS mods, the heat sinks in the low slots, switch them over to a second adaptive, maybe a damage control. You can go with a yellow shield also, but I kind of like to have that damage control when I'm going full defensive. And we'll undock and we'll kind of see what our defenses are with this setup.
Undocking.
Okay, so let's rearrange this real quick here, and we'll turn on both adaptive shields. We have a large shield booster, but we'll put on the defensive module, and you can see our resistances are going to shoot up to everything over 70, 76 in thermal, 82 in kinetic, and 87 in explosive. This is with a full defensive fit, and this isn't even with resistance rigs. If I wanted to spend the money and fit the defensive rigs as well, this thing could easily get over 90% resistance in every category. So I really think we're going to see some huge tanky gate camp Fiend builds coming out pretty soon now with this module change. And with that damage control active, you can see that 13 seconds we're going to have over 90% resistances even without fully building this thing out to be tanky. So very strong defensive capabilities with the Fiend. And now we don't have to sacrifice as much. It's not a 50% reduction in speed and damage, it's only a 25%. So very cool, very good if you're going to be using it as a solo gate camp as well. All right, now let's get into the good stuff. Let's play with the new mid slot that we have available, see what else we can do. Okay, for now I'll take off those defensive modules, go back to my offensive fit, just because I like having them in there. I have been running with a cloaking device instead of a double heat sink, just one heat sink and a cloaking device, try and get around some gate camps recently, but I like having the just absolute offensive burst with this ship. Okay, so let's de-equip that module, that defensive module, and we'll see what other options we can play with here. We can go with a medium group capacitor, so we don't have to worry about capacitor. We can be more group focused. This will be great if you're using like a small fleet or a small gate camp. You want to help out your partners here. We could also go with a tracking disruptor. I mean, I couldn't be hit before with that medium afterburner going. Imagine if I had a tracking disruptor on this as well. Just unbelievably. You're never going to touch me with a turret ship if I can get range. Absolutely amazing. Hell, let's say you just want to be able to turn off somebody's micro warp drive, or you want to be able to lock down an interceptor instead of using your bubble. I mean, throw a scrambler on there. And this is my favorite. I am definitely going to try this out, a sensor dampener in the mid slots here. Since I have that Dragon Chant nano core and I can break that ship's lock, being able to have that sensor dampener on them at the same time and not have to give up my large NOS or my narrow scanner or my disruption bubble, now I have an even better advantage against some of these medium-sized ships. And with my already small signature radius of 83, a battleship is going to take forever to relock me now after I break their lock with that Dragon Chant. And that's not even counting the GU. I think there's a GU for sensor dampener as well that I can play with. So just the amount of options that this gives us to play with now, I love having the flexibility to kind of build my ship the way that I want to build it. And I think this is a great change, not just for the Fiend. We'll talk about the other ships later. But I mean, just look at this. We don't even have to run with a disruption bubble. We can go with a scram and 2 webs to try and lock down faster ships. We can throw double neutralizers on here if we can fit it power grid wise. Let's see. There's one large, double large neutralizers. So we can double tap an interceptor when it's trying to orbit us at 40 kilometers, drain it completely, catch up to it, lock it down with the scram and web, and take it out before it can get away. So this is unbelievable. I don't think that people are understanding how big of a change this is going to be for the mid-sized ships, for the cruiser-sized ships. And we're going to see a lot more increase in usage on these faction-heavy cruisers. Because I'll be honest with you, I've used the Chameleon, I've used the Fiend for a long time. I haven't touched the Celios or the other one, the Adastria. I can't really say that one, but I know that a lot of times these faction heavy cruisers special abilities aren't used at all. They're completely ignored. So being able to have this as a module and be able to choose whether or not you want to use it. Maybe you don't want to take it into PvP. Maybe you want to have a different option. It's going to open us up to a lot more possibilities and unpredictability in our fights. Now the other ships, they got their own modules, so they're not all going to be using the defensive module like the Fiend is. The Celios gets the rapid firing tactical module, very similar to the new Azazel faction battleship that came out. So if you're a Celios pilot, if you're a medium cannon pilot, now you'll be able to use the rapid firing module, and we'll take a look at that real quick. Open up the market, and you're going to find these modules in mid slots, tactical module, right there in regular tactical module. So they're all going to be right here. The rapid firing tactical module is going to be for the Celios. You're going to see it's going to give you a 20% increased tracking speed, increased scan resolution. Your accuracy fall off is going to drop a little bit, and your activation time on your weapon is going to drop dramatically. 30% reduction into your activation time. So you're going to be firing really fast. However, your damage is going to go down and your capacitor recharge rate is going to go down, but it's not going to be a huge hit. And this is going to be great for coming out of cloak with the Celios and really bursting something down with that rapid fire module. So I think this one's going to be used very often, especially because the Celios is more of a covert ops ship. It's more of a surprise, quick kill kind of ship. The sniper tactical module is going to be for the Chameleon. Only the Chameleon is going to be able to use this one. It's going to increase your drone damage, your drone tracking speed, your drone range. It's going to do a lot of enhancements to your drone up front. So basically this is going to be used for if you want to, say you want to sit on a camp, a gate, like 100 kilometers off. You're going to be able to come out of cloak, activate this module, and give your drones a huge upfront damage boost, and they're going to get to the targets a lot quicker with this module active as well. So you can kind of burst down maybe a faction cruiser, a faction frigate that's sitting on the gate waiting for someone to come through and doesn't know that you're cloaked 100 kilometers off. And by the time they get to you, your drones are going to tear them apart. Now, it won't be great because of this negative 90% speed flight velocity adjustment, so you're kind of a sitting duck if you're trying to take on something that's going to be able to withstand that burst, but it'll be interesting to play with nonetheless. The repair tactical module is going to be for the Adastria. It's the medium railguns faction heavy cruiser, and this one's going to be really interesting. So this is kind of like the Annihilator, gets those repair bonuses, the activation time reduction, and the extra repair amount. So it's going to be a much more defensive module for flying this ship. I think we're going to see a lot more like up close and personal tackle Adastrias instead of the range kiting stuff that I usually do with the Fiend. And I'm not quite prepared for it yet, but I have started skilling into medium railguns so that I can fly this ship next. I want to try to fly it as my next cruiser. I kind of love the cruiser size ship class, so I've been dealing with more of that. And I'm currently skilling into this. You can see I have everything maxed out for its ship abilities, for the hull abilities, but it does get a good bonus to getting that damage up to 555. So we have to work on our weapon skills there. I'm only at advanced medium railgun level 4 and expert level 2, so we still got some training to do on that. I do have a lot of Lazarus points that I can move some stuff around with, but I gotta dig deep and see which skills I want to get rid of in order to spend these points. But that is the next ship that I really want to try and fly, that medium railgun ship, especially because I've got the high power coil implant almost to level 30. I'm very excited to get this to level 30 because its level 30 ability on the top side is going to be a speed reduction. It reduces their speed by 50%. This doesn't matter if they have a micro warp drive or an afterburner or what, but if you hit them with this active, you're going to stun them and reduce their speed dramatically. So I'm very excited for trying this ship out. It has that extra range on the webs. I want to be able to try and take out some of these frigates that are circling me that I can't touch with my Fiend, and I want to try and build one out like that. So overall, just some really exciting changes to these heavy faction cruisers. I can't wait to see what builds people come up with, what creative minds are out there dealing with these mid slots, and what you can fit with the power grid. So while I continue to play with the different fittings and see which kind of build works for me with this new mid slot, go ahead and drop me a comment in the comment section below. Hit like on the video and let me know, how are you going to fly your ships? Does this change make you want to fly these ships more? Are you excited to fly the one of the faction cruisers now? And which ship do you think is going to benefit the most from this change? All right, that'll about do it. I'll be back next week with another PvP video. I'm trying out some new ships. I'm not just going to be flying the Fiend. I'm expanding my catalog, so to speak. So I'll be back with some more variety next week. All right, thanks for watching. Fly safe.